Manoj,
Hi.
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you're about to keynote here at TiECon 2013.
Yeah.
So tell our viewers a little bit about what you're going to talk about.
Well, mostly I think first thing is everybody wants to know how we got here, as
Yeah.
far as make the small history of 5 Hour.
Yeah.
The second probably I'll do is how we run the company, which is it's completely different than what everybody else does.
Huh.
So that should be somewhat different. I mean, in short, it's everybody else sort of MBA
Right.
sort of process. We are the opposite of that. So I kind of talk about how we're the opposite and what
Right.
works for us.
So, I mean, nowadays, people are kind of steering away from the MBA, the typical MBA profile anyway. They're saying don't hire MBAs because they think too much in box. And they don't know how to think outside of the box, and creativity and big vision doesn't happen then. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, you kind of took that.
Well, yeah,
You know.
to me, if you're going to learn plumbing, you should learn it from a plumber, somebody
Right.
who's actually seen a pipe
Right.
and actually fixed a leak, instead of learning it from perhaps folks that have written about pipes.
Right, exactly. And,
so-
and that too 50 years ago, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and on the 50 years ago side, look, in my opinion, nothing has changed in 1,000 years.
Right.
So all this newfangled stuff is really just nonsense. And what the tendency is, because we learn all these big words, is to put common sense aside
Yeah.
and sort of work from these big fancy words. So the MBA is, look, these days MBA is necessary to get a job because it's like a stamp that says,
But that's a job. That's not an entrepreneur.
right. For an entrepreneur, I don't think it's useful.
Nope. I think it confines your thinking, right?
Yeah, actually, it might hurt you. I mean, I think the Ross School at University of Michigan called me to speak. I said, "You guys are kidding, right?" So I said, "Look, I don't think MBA is useful." So,
Right.
and I'm going to go out there and say that. So you really want to throw rocks at me over there? So when I was speaking, I said, "Look, they treat you this much that's useful, this much that's useless, and this much that's harmful."
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, the value is marginal, and you pay a ridiculous amount.
So if someone is starting a business and they're not going to get their MBA, but what do you think are valuable skill sets that they must have to think big and really create a sustainable business?
I think first they should rely on common sense. There's only two qualifications you need: common sense and a sense of urgency.
Yeah, a sense of urgency.
right.
That's interesting.
If you have those two, you can make it. And if you want to learn something, I think your mom is going to probably be the best teacher, because just working the house, household budget, juggling all of that stuff, it's not that easy. And if you
Right.
just from that side, because then you have to because you have a certain budget, you have to use common sense all the time to make it
Right.
work.
Right.
Now, that's much more of a teacher than somebody who's never done it. So the qualifications are simple: common sense and a sense of it. And as you grow older, you tend to trust your common sense.
Yes.
Whereas kids, when you get out of school, you don't trust your common sense. You think, I should learn it from a book, or so-and-so is going to jargon, I got to speak in jargon, and so that people will respect
But
me.
don't you think there's also some element of common sense is great, but sometimes a risk taker has to go against their common sense, or all the naysayers, or, I mean, what are your thoughts on
No,
that?
I would probably
No?
disagree.
Okay.
Because to me, if you're a risk taker, you should go to Vegas.
Right,
Okay.
but aren't entrepreneurs risk takers
No.
in some sense? No.
No.
Okay.
Entrepreneur, a good one,
Uh-huh.
a fresh one, is a risk manager. What he does is minimize risk.
Right.
He offloads it to other people.
Oh, that's smart.
That's a
You need to teach me a
business
little
guy.
bit.
Right. If you take risks, please don't work for us.
Right.
If you manage risk, if you minimize risk,
Right.
control risk, and
Right.
know clearly, okay, you never bet the farm, for example, right? That's a given in a business. Now, if you're one of those risk takers, you're going to bet the farm. Not interested. Please go work for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really, even understanding that, and that's really common sense, isn't it? Once I said it, you
And
said,
now it's common
of course
sense.
It's common sense.
So it's true. It's following your common sense, actually
That's-
listening to it, going inside and listening
That's
to
right.
it.
Because everybody on TV says, oh, risk taker. So everybody says, oh, that must be what it is.
Yeah.
Not true.
That's not true. That is a gambler.
Yes.
You're very smart. So the 5-hour energy drink, I think, from what I understand,
Right.
what made it just boom is that you were able to get small bottles at checkout in stands. Now you've had many copycats, I believe, like in Whole Foods, you see these little ones or whatever.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 300.
300 copycats of you, but
Yes.
the 5-hour energy drink kind of surpasses them all. So what keeps you on top of the market, and how did you know to think out of the box in such a creative way?
Actually, I wasn't that creative at all.
It was just your common sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't that rocket science. I mean, I tell people, look, we weren't that smart. We just avoided dumb stuff.
Right.
That's all we really did. Is a large company is probably 60, 70%, I'm being generous, of what they do is really just dumb.
Yeah.
So what we just did was avoid that. And so if it's a simple thing, think about a product. You make it really good so that it's really useful for people.
Right.
Okay? 3/4 of your work is done.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to try it and then they're going to tell somebody else. And then somehow you guys think I'm a marketing genius. I'm not. I barely know what I'm doing.
But you
So.
have really good common sense. Well,
I just trust it more than others.
yeah, that's true. Well, thank you so much, and I wish
My
you
pleasure.
all the best with your keynote today. I'm sure
Thank
the
you.
audience is just going to love hearing your story.
We'll see. If you don't throw anything, I'll be okay.
They won't.
right.
Thank you.